Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back with another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Wednesday, January 31st. All kinds of things are happening. We've got new people in the chat. We've got a new chat that I was working on and I crashed OBS. So I'm supposedly streaming still, hopefully. We're going through the video game news and we're trying to get wins on the Asian account. It shouldn't be too hard. I need to play 8 more cards that cost 8 or more. And I also need to get up in the ranked. We built this 8+ ranked druid deck. Frankly, why am I playing wild instead of standard? That might certainly explain why I'm not doing great. We've got a decent amount of news to talk about, a decent amount of stuff to do. I guess Wednesday is kind of a flippant day. In general, I'd like to get all 3 of the daily quests done. I need to get the Tavern Brawls done on all 3 of my accounts, the Americas account, the European account, and the Asian account. But I need to, at the very least, get 2 of the... let's see, cost 1 less for each spell you cast this turn. I need to get 2 quests done for every account, otherwise I'm going to be in big trouble. On this account I need to either get 6 more victories, which I could probably do pretty easily with the Murloc. It wouldn't be amazingly easy. Or I can play this deck and try to pull something off. If I do this and then this, that's probably more helpful in the long run. Star Wars Battlefront 2 isn't hitting its sales targets, in the fact that they wanted 10 million sales and they only sold, I believe, 7 million is what I heard. It could be a little less than that, it could be a little bit more. People were misreporting it, from what I heard, as 9 million instead of 10 million. It may be that they've shipped 9 million copies, but they've only had actual sales of 7 million, which is kind of a pathetically large amount of copies of Battlefront 2 sitting around somewhere in a storage facility or on a shelf. But I don't know. I don't know what the right amount of games on a shelf might be. There very possibly might be 2 million stores out there that have Battlefronts on their shelves. Let's play that. This will be interesting because it will almost certainly summon something legendary. Yeah, but a 1/1 copy of Cthulhu doesn't really do anything. So because they say they're not hitting their sales target, which is probably what they were going to say regardless, at their investors meeting, they're bringing back the in-game microtransactions, which that really shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. Like, if there's one thing that you can be assured of as far as consistency in the video game industry, is that if they put something crappy in their game, whether it's season passes, DLC, DRM, they probably aren't going to permanently take it out. And DRM might be the one exception to that rule, that yeah, there is a possibility that DRM will be gone for that version of the game, but then the next game will, from that same company, will have the same DRM in it. Let's continue to draw cards. I am looking for victories too, let's not forget it. On the face of it, though, Star Wars Battlefront 2 is still not a good game. It really wasn't a good game from the word go because of the microtransactions. Bringing the microtransactions back is not going to fix anything. Honestly, it would be kind of cool if there was a what would be the right word to say here? If there was a project out there to re-modify Battlefront 2 to get all the microtransactions out, adjust the experience so that it's a reasonable amount of playing to unlock characters, add the mod features that people would like. But I seriously doubt anybody even is going to care enough to do something like that. Yeah. Moving on, there's a game called Shinobi Koi Yutsu. I swear that's how it Utsu. It's spelled UTSU TSU, which means one of those is pronounced differently. And then colon Banka Aya Imka, which all these Japanese names, like they really never stop. Let's see. They've got some new gameplay. For this game. Now, scroll down. It looks like it is a visual novel. If it has Shinobi in it, then it's kind of like you're dating a ninja, I think. That's what Shinobi means. So it's more feudal thing. It seems like the Japanese market has specific times of the years in which they put out more feudal style games than other times. Or maybe I'm just missing the perspective here. And this is one of those games that's more for the people that are interested in guys, certainly, because there's a whole harem of Shinobi guys. Here, let's see if we can get some actual facts. There's a bunch of video clips here. Let's see. It's due out on the PlayStation 4 on February 15th in Japan. Good to know. This is the one I want to play. And we'll go ahead and kill that guy. No indication that this would ever go anywhere else. It is always interesting to see here, though, that it's going to the PlayStation 4 instead of the Vita. So we're definitely seeing the death of any Vita support. And kind of surprisingly, though, we're not seeing the death of 3DS support for at least the Minecraft 3DS edition. Because that was updated. Looking at the 3DS edition, it's different and it's limited, certainly, but if that's the only version of Minecraft that you have, I imagine you do want some updates. Like, I could easily see a child feeling like they're getting ripped off if they have a bad version of Minecraft that's never getting updated. The sad truth is the Java edition is probably the #1 version that will eventually be left on the cutting room floor, and you won't see any more updates for it. But that's fine, because you'll always be able to find other mods for the Minecraft Java edition. However, to be fair, a lot of the mods are kind of the same thing. Let's see. Deal 1 damage and draw a card. And I'm trying to draw more things. There we go. Let's hit this one. Hit this one. In the turn. Modders are making their own version of the game Twilight Imperium, which is a massive space opera board game and tabletop simulator. This probably isn't really news. It's one of these PC Gamer articles that are probably more just advertisements for tabletop simulator. Like tabletop simulator, I don't know exactly how it gets away with it, but you can play almost any board game, and people have made mods for any board game, many board games. Which is kind of a good thing, because a significant number of the games out there, like Uno and Monopoly and the Hasbro games in particular, like a big number of those are not in good formats on Steam and on Windows particularly. The Hasbro Family Game Night was a pretty good collection on Xbox 360, but it's just not there on Steam. Interesting. Here I've, for some reason, opened up a Steam page for a game called Fade to Silence that is mixed reviews out of all of its reviews, which is a Black Forest Games game released by THQ Nordic, and I imagine that's why I have listed it. I only need to play 2 more cards that cost 8 or more, so that was a really good game towards our daily quest. Not a great game towards victory. This is a shame, because I kind of wanted to play Fade to Silence, but it's an early access game and people are not happy with it. Oh, I thought this was an old game. So let's look at some of the negative reviews here. I suppose this is news of a sort. It's what's going on with this early access game. This game should not be in early access. Huge FPS drops, just moving the camera around makes fighting next to impossible. The game itself looks to be great and has a lot of potential, but now don't bother. This was me playing on the lowest setting. Well, I guess that's... Even with the current update to fix performance issues, the game is still a bit unplayable. Don't think everyone is having issues like this, but I know a good bit are. Honestly, I've had that same issue on some games I played, so I totally get that. Like the next negative review is low frame rate. Game keeps crashing, and it has prerequisites. And I have the prerequisites. The crashes are all different. One says corrupt data. Like, this game is clearly just not optimized for early access. This should be an internal beta. Let's see. Somebody here has listed settings that are about the same as my settings, and they can't get it to run at a smooth frame rate. Here's one. Don't release a game if half the players have bad frames. I don't recommend this game because it's unplayable for half the players. Yep. Which is funny, because this game, like, in the trailers, in the promotion, in all the advertisement, the advertising department is doing their job, and this looks like an interesting game, at least a little bit. but that doesn't mean too much of anything if people are having a bad experience before it's even out. Susan, the CEO of YouTube, I don't ever try to pronounce her last name. It's Wojcicki, Wojcicki, I think is how it's pronounced, but I'm never sure. Will be interviewed by the Wired editor-in-chief at South by Southwest 2018, which, okay, there are already YouTube like events and meetups, VidCon, for instance, that she should have been at, not a non-YouTube thing, South by Southwest. Also, she's not doing a good job running YouTube, in my opinion. So, like, maybe fix some of your problems and do something smarter than just kicking out all the small YouTubers, and I hope that that will also kick out all of the fake channels that are stealing content, which, by the way, none of those will actually be kicked out. I'd like to see her go. Like, she's had enough time to prove herself, and the things she's done on YouTube have not been good things, in my opinion. I'd like to see some new leadership to tighten up the entire company of YouTube. There's a lot of what I would phrase rogue employees who are not under the same idea. Like, some employees want to do one thing, some employees want to do another. All the employees at YouTube don't know what's going on. There's just poor leadership from the beginning. And it has caused problems, certainly. Just even a lack of communication. Even if they are going to do the wrong thing, if they communicated it amongst their own employees better, then their own employees could communicate it better to the rest of the world. Moving on, this is very not really video game related, but Kotaku has an article that a man is thrilled that he got enough people to like a picture on Facebook or something so that he convinced his wife to name their son Goku. Not Son Goku per se, but just Goku. Which I'm sure that will not play well in the future. Like, there's going to be a lot of narrow-minded, ignorant teachers that have a student named Goku that are going to mispronounce the name. I don't know how you... Gaku, I guess, might be one way. This guy is definitely not Japanese, so it might make some sense to name a kid Goku in Japan, because at least then people would get it, but then they would just get made fun of for being weird. And there's really no way in the story that this plays out well for the parent and the perspective of what the parent is going to look like. Either the parents are going to forget that they were huge Dragon Ball fans when their kid turns 18, and that they're just going to say, why did we do this? This is ridiculous. Or they're going to be such obsessive Dragon Ball fans that they're still thinking it's cool 18 years later when their kid is graduating from high school and they're walking across the stage and they call him Goku. And almost certainly the child is going to stop using that and use a nickname at some point and change his name probably later in life. Now, to be fair, if you're going to use a middle name, you could probably get away with being silly on the middle name. Pingilette named his daughter, I believe, Crime Fighter as a middle name, and like nobody ever uses middle names anyways, so you can get away with being silly then. But if it's your first name, that's a big problem. But maybe he has like a really terrible last name too. So maybe if you name your kid Goku, and then the last name that you can't pick is just like horribly offensive. Let's see, like or Cruz. Let's see, if you had the last name Cruz or Bacon or somebody famous that you get a lot of references to, or just I'm trying to think of some other names without going political. But heck, yeah, if your last name somehow was Trump, there's clearly some Trumps out there. You might want to just distract from that and go, oh, but his first name is Goku, so people will totally forget about the last name. Not very video game related though, other than Dragon Ball FighterZ is out now and I really do want to play it. I guess for the moment, Dragon Ball FighterZ might be the game I'm most interested in playing that's new, and maybe I could make some kind of content out of that where I'm like, this game is out, I'm super interested in this game. If you want to support my channel, send me this game. And do that like once a month at most. There we go. So I've now played the 10 minions needed, so I'll leave the third daily quest for Friday. A company I've never heard of called Focus Home Interactive is to announce new titles on February 7th and 8th. What did Focus Home Interactive made? Farming Simulator, Spent Tires, Mud Runner, The Surge. I guess that's probably why I've never heard of Focus Home Interactive, is because they're one of those European companies that only makes games that are weird in a bad way. They're too niche for me, I suppose might be the right way to say that. Let's see. If you cast a spell, summon a random minion. I don't think I'm gonna be able to cast a spell. So let's see. If we look at Focus Home Interactive's games, let's see. They have the Council, Battlefield Gothic, Call of Cthulhu's, Vampire. Vampire was one I was keeping an eye on. Styx, Shard of Darkness. Now I played the first Styx games. I didn't like that. The way it played was too slow, too repetitive. Werewolf, the Apocalypse, the Insurgency. There's some good games here though. I played Styx Master of Shadow, by the way, not Shards of Darkness, the sequel. Blood Bowl, of Orcs and Men, Divinity, Original Sin, The Testament of Sherlock Holmes, Game of Thrones game, and then a ton of farming simulators and pro cycling managers. When I get to 10, if I can make it to the 10th turn. Like 10th turn, play this, refresh my mana crystals. 10th turn, play something else. Whatever. So I guess I should learn Focus Home Interactive because they are a big player in the market. Or I guess they're a moderate player in the market. The Switch sold 14.86 million units in 2017. Super Odyssey sold 9.07 million. So over half, I'd say 2/3 of all Switch owners did buy Super Mario Odyssey. I cannot disagree with that. That seems like a very smart move. the thing, like Mario Kart 8 sold 7.3 million units. Legend of Zelda sold 6.7. So that's slightly interesting that are these Japanese numbers or are these worldwide numbers? These are worldwide numbers. The Legend of Zelda sold less than Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I could see that though. Like, if I'm a parent and I have multiple kids, I imagine I would want to get them Mario Kart first, and not mess with having one kid fight over, or two kids or multiple kids fight over a single player game like Breath of the Wild. Splatoon, however, on the other hand, only sold 4.91 million units. So compared to the racing game, it's almost, Mario Kart is almost double Splatoon. So there still probably is a resistance to having kids play shooter games, even if it is a cartoony shooter game. Let's see. There's a major jump, however, down from the 4.91 million from Splatoon 2 to the number 5 on the list, which is 1-2 Switch. These are all Nintendo only release games, so there's probably some more competition in between Splatoon 2 and 1-2 Switch, but 1-2 Switch only sold 1.88 million units, and frankly it's a little surprising they even got that much, because they didn't really deserve it. Alright, good. We're done with the Asian account. We can move over to the European account. We'll save this for Friday. 5 victories while playing ranked. Not a big problem. This might be a slight problem, though. Keeping the stream going without clicking the button because OBS crashed. OBS does not crash on me. Like, it just doesn't happen. So this is the first time in like 3 or 4 years it's ever crashed for any legitimate reason. Which also means it potentially crashed my game. And we ranked 20 in our European account. What do we get this time? You get 1 gold, you get 5 dust, you get a card back. Like, the rewards for making it to rank 20 are pretty low. And the bonus stars may change. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if that went down. So let's come over here. Set this as our new favorite card because we want to see the new card backs. And we don't even have any dust. So whatever card we got was new enough that we can now, on the European account, I will disenchant gold and fiddle with things. I'm trying different policies in different ways. So I just lost that card, but potentially that 50 dust will work towards our favor in something like this, where I can create one of these. Like, why not? Just for the heck of it. So 50 dust minus 40 dust. At the end of the day, I still have 15 extra dust. Let's see. We have some daily quests. We have a mage, shaman, 5 games with the rogue and warrior, and 30 warlock cards. So the one to get rid of is this one. Taunt minions. Warrior has taunt. If I play warrior on the tavern brawl, I could probably get this and make some progress on this. Possibly I will have to revert to playing warlock cards later. But let's start with this. Choose warrior, go. It's extremely surprising to me with the large drop from almost 5 million to 2 million to 1-2 Switch. ARMS only has slightly over 1.5 million units sold. 1.61 million units sold. As a person who's recently realized they're actually a really big fan of boxing games, and I didn't ever really realize it. Like, I played Punch-Out when I was a kid on the NES. I never had the Super NES, so I never played Super Punch-Out. I didn't ever play Punch-Out in the arcade. And I played Teleroboxer on the Virtual Boy. Like, just those 4 games, thinking about it now, it's like, oh yeah, I really do like boxing games. So apparently I'm an outlier there, because it doesn't seem like too many people are. ARMS only sold 1.61 million units. However, that still is nearly 600,000 more units than Xenoblade Chronicles 2 sold in 2017. But I think Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was late to the party. But I guess there's also a factor of just not a lot of Japanese RPG fans on the Switch. I imagine, if you think about it, RPG fans, and particularly Japanese RPG fans, have to either rely on their old audience that has people that are already happy with those style of games, and the fact that they are rather slow at times, or you have to convince new players to play it. And with the exception of Pokemon, which is the entry-level RPG game, it's sort of a Japanese RPG game, but I would say it's more of its own thing. Like, you have to get those Pokemon players into Pokemon and convince them to continue playing something like Pokemon. Let's see if we do this. I think that's the right move for this turn, at least. Probably play this next turn. Total 3DS hardware sales sold 71.99 million units. So in comparison to the 14.86 million units of the Switch, the 3DS is selling 5 times as many units, and total software sales in general are 360.5 million units as far as pieces of software. All of that kind of makes sense. Like, if you don't think about it too hard, yeah, it kind of makes sense that there's still, or at least for 2017, there was still a thriving audience for the 3DS. I'm not sure by the time the end of 2018 happens, though, if anybody's going to really want a 3DS, or there's going to be much software. Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon for the 3DS collectively sold 7.17 million units. So that's pretty good numbers. If you didn't catch all those numbers, I'm reading this off an article from Gematsu, Gematsu's website. Or you could go directly to the Nintendo sales report if you want more detail. A Detective Pikachu amiibo is available for pre-order, but oddly, this Detective Pikachu is as big as almost a 3DS. So it is twice as tall as a already existing Pikachu figure, and twice as wide as a regular Pikachu figure. So I think when you see that, the idea is going to come down to they're specifically trying to make Detective Pikachu be life-size, whereas Pikachu in the anime and mangas and all of that, and the game has always been a field mouse size, a rather large field mouse. I am closer to the size of a cat or dog, but so I assume Detective Pikachu is going to stand a lot taller, a lot bigger, and we already kind of know he's going to talk, so that's going to be weird. It really is one of those Japanese weird things. Going back to Switch sales, they outsold the Wii U in less than a year, because the Wii U sold 13.5 million units in 5 years, where the Switch sold 14.86, and that's not surprising at all. Like, it really is not odd. For as bad as the Wii U was marketed, and as bad as the Wii U looked as a product, and the lack of software support. In a surprising twist, TT Games has opened up a new studio in Brighton. TT Games is, I believe, fully owned by Warner Brothers Games, and they specifically only make Lego games. I was getting the feeling that maybe they were going to slow down production a little bit. For a while there, it looked like Lego Dimensions was eating their lunch, and not that that mattered, because TT Games also made Lego Dimensions, but it was taking away from the idea of having single Lego game experiences. Also, there's not a lot of things to still cover. There'll probably be a Ninjago Lego game and a Lego Batman the Movie 2 video game. I suppose as long as we continue to have Lego movies, there'll be some more to do, and as long as we continue to have Marvel movies and DC movies, there'll still be some things to do. But I wasn't thinking they were going to get bigger. Specifically, though, this studio is going to be porting the Lego games to the cell phone versions, and the cell phone versions are in themselves almost completely different games than the other games. Like Lego Star Wars The Complete Saga is a great example. Like, that game came out for some Game Boy or 3DS, and it was completely different than the version that came out for the Xbox 360, which was probably slightly different than the version that came out for the PlayStation, which was probably slightly different than the version that came out for the PC. The PC versions of Lego games sadly just aren't running well on my computer right now, probably because of my video game. If that's not the problem, then I'm going to be a little confused. Let's see. Give your minions +1 attack. Well, then let's play this first. On the other hand, Warner Brothers Games, like, in general, has some problems because they can't do any more Arkham Asylum games. Like, they've run that series into the ground. So they've got to figure out something that they can do with Batman, or hand it off to a company and license it out to another company, instead of Warner Brothers effectively doing Warner Brothers property. So yeah, there needs to be some kind of new Batman game that isn't a Telltale Batman game, which, don't confuse TT Games with Telltale Games. They're completely different companies. and Warner Brothers also needs to see if they can work with any of their other licenses and expand or just make new games from the beginning. Gama Sutra has an article called that says, well, the title is Super Data: Free-to-play games led 2017, generating 15 billion in revenue on PC. So the free-to-play market is definitely making the most amount of money on PC. It is making the most amount of market, particularly in Asia. Let's see. This. Let's end the turn. But Asia is also doing vast amounts of money with mobile. Mobile, by far, in all of the three major areas of Asia, North America, and Europe, mobile is doing double the amount of money that any other platform is. They're breaking it down between mobile, free-to-play, and social, which social, I assume, means you have to be playing on Facebook or Twitter, some social website that works around that concept. There we go. Five damage to your hero when that guy dies. Alright. So, yeah. If you're just looking to make money, I would say make a mobile game for Asia. It seems to be making money hands over fist. Although doing free-to-play on PC on Asia is not too bad either. Of course, this inherently is the growing threat. One of the underlying threats to the video game market is that if China, particularly, which is the largest country in China, in Asia, if they can generate the most amount of money just by the sheer number of people they have, they will start to drive the development of video games to the point where video games are only interested in pleasing China, only interested in making sales in China, and they just don't care about the rest of the world. It's kind of the problem with a popular election versus a representative election in the United States, is that in the United States, the way the Electoral College works is if it was just a popular election, then people in highly dense areas like California and New York would always be the ones determining who the president was elected to be, and other people's votes really wouldn't count any at all. And so then the presidential candidates would only go to highly densely populated areas like California and New York, and they would only pander to that. We've already seen this in the movie industry. The movie industry in Hollywood in particular has slowly begun to completely not care about domestic sales in the United States and be much more interested in international sales, and particularly sales in China. If the video game market goes that way, you're going to see a significant lack of Japanese games, where Japanese games have been the leader in video games for quite a while, or at least they've been number 2 in development of video games for a while. They, like Nintendo, Sony, Japanese companies. If all Nintendo games and all Sony games and all Sega games don't come out of Japan, they don't even leave to the other Asian countries, because a lot of other Asian countries don't like Japan and they may not have the same interest. That's going to severely hurt the video game industry, because there's just going to be less variety of games and less number of games available to purchase. Even though we complain about Steam being flooded with bad games, I'd still prefer variety than to have a Steam where only one game came out a month. Also, you're going to see less European video game developers if the industry is only focused on sales in China. So things like The Witcher 3 wouldn't probably get made. I'm not sure that The Witcher 3 actually sold that well in China. And North America would always do its own thing, but it very possibly too could lose some of its cultural identity as it tries to be more friendly. Hollywood certainly has made some movies that are directly focused on the Chinese market. For instance, The Wall was a Chinese movie that got a Hollywood big name character. World of Warcraft, the movie, actually is a good seller of a movie internationally, because the fantasy elements can just be translated into something completely different in a different language. So while you may watch it in North America and know the original true story, in China that might just get translated to something completely different. More than just localizing the text, just full on redubbing it. So yes, Asia's buying power is scary. Let's see. There's a job listing. We'll see if we have time for that. We probably do. This is going to be a long stream. I think my timer I also dismissed, so I probably should look at my clock and see how long we've been going. Yeah, it's probably time to break it up after this game again. Gamma Sutra has an article, How Devs Design the Lego Games to Appeal to All Ages. And then without reading the full article, the chapter headings are appealing to fans with in-jokes. I found the Lego Star Wars Complete Saga full of in-jokes. However, as I went through the whole series, that was up and down. Some games had some good in-jokes and were very funny, and some of them were trying to be rather serious and didn't have any in-jokes, or very few. Restore 1 health. Divine Shield. Let's play that. And end the turn. The second paragraph is the golden rule. The game's art direction is another factor. That is very true. Lego games need to be very specifically around the same art direction. Like, you know what a Lego stud looks like, and that they're the currency. You know that the enemies are going to look a little funny. You don't want the game to... Let's see, if I did this, I probably could still succeed. There we go. The next thing is introducing new challenges and distractions. I think the Lego games are pretty good about that too. Like, at the very least, if you're supposed to be moving from the left of the screen to the right of the screen in some of the older Lego games that don't have open world elements, you can probably break something or interact with something within 20 steps of any point you're in the game, unless you've already done everything there's to do in an area, which is possible. I didn't play that right. However, when you think about Lego Marvel Superheroes, which was really the first game to have an open world in an entire New York City to run around, that took it to a whole new level. And I kind of wish all the Lego games from that point had major open world areas, because there was something to do in New York on every street corner, and it was quite great. I guess if these games ran better on my PC, I'd go back to them, because I really do love the Lego games, and they are worth playing, even if you aren't a kid. Give a friendly random minion. How about we do this and play a taunt, and we want to do this, and kill this guy if he attacks there. There we go. NetEase and Mattel have partnered to create a studio called Mattel 163. I don't know why you would call it 163, but I guess Net Mattel wouldn't work, or Mattel Ease, or Ease Mattel. But I don't get the 163 either. So it's a partnership with a Chinese technology company called NetEase to create a new development studio. They partnershiped, and the joint venture aims to use Mattel's library of brands, which includes Barbie, Hot Wheels, Fisher-Price, and Thomas & Friends, to create mobile games and educational apps for the global market. So here's the deal. Mattel, I believe, worked with THQ in the old days, Toy Headquarters being what THQ stands for. And since THQ went out of business and is slowly being reformed via THQ Nordic, I guess Mattel didn't want to work with them again. And I imagine maybe even THQ Nordic doesn't want to mess with Barbie's, Hot Wheels, Fisher-Price, Thomas Friends, and such. While all of those are kind of evergreen things, like Barbie has been something you could sell to little girls for many decades, they've never translated well into a video game. Like there's really not a single Barbie game worth mentioning that I can think of. And Hot Wheels, you make some racing games, but more often than not, if a Hot Wheels game comes out within 6 months, a Mario Kart game came out, a Dirt game came out. There's so many other racing games that you could have played. Fisher-Price games are too early age, and so for mobile games they might sell a little bit, but then they don't work as console games or PC games. Let's see, survives damage. Just go and play this. Can I win here? Maybe. Let's see. If I equip this next turn and attack with this, I think I can win. The studio's first release is a mobile Uno game. I was just talking earlier how a lot of these Uno games have not been great lately. There was a very good Uno game on Xbox 360, but now it's like Uno Rush in particular I'd like to see come back. And they've launched that on Facebook Messenger earlier today, and it's due out on iOS and Android. I suppose it's worth mentioning that I found an emulator for Android called BlueStacks. So in theory, I don't know if I'd ever really want to do it. I could play a cell phone game on my channel and stream that. Like, I don't know exactly what cell phone game would bring me to that. It would probably be Clash Royale, and even that is not that interesting. And right now Clash Royale is doing a YouTuber's special event where you play YouTubers' decks, and from what I'm seeing, people are not happy with the decks that the YouTubers are playing as, which no surprising there. I bet most of the YouTubers who play Clash Royale suck at it. So, were those all new cards to me? Or no, 3 of those were redundant. And so we can type in the phrase new to see the ones that aren't. Ah, now we have 2 Mana Wraiths. Playing Mana Wraith as a new account is actually probably a great idea, just because it irritates your opponent. And if you can irritate your opponent enough and slow down the game, and you're just not really paying attention, and you're just walking away from games and trying to get the opponent to concede, which is what a lot of people, including myself, did and have done and still do, playing Mana Wraith is a good one. And see, that only leaves us now with, let's see, Warrior Rogue Victories and Taunt Minions. So if I come in here and make a deck around that idea, I can probably succeed. Let's see. Apparently, in this article, NetEase's website was www.163.com originally. The 3 numbers users had to dial in order to connect to the World Wide Web in early days of internet availability in China. Oh, you learn something new every day. So you had to dial 163, which, like, I don't know what you're doing that, why you had to dial that, but whatever. Well, this is a good time to break up again. Stay tuned if you're watching live. Otherwise, as always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you please friend and follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Google+, Steam, and Battle.net. All of those links are down below in the description. I'm trying to get more friends and followers on all of those. And if you like what I'm doing, try and figure out a way to send me a Steam code or a Steam game directly. That's the new monetization that we're doing on this channel. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.